Paul Yeager along with head coach of the Dowling Catholic Maroons, Tom Wilson, and coach. The heat of August, no two-a-days. You just got to get after it. Walk your guys through how are they doing in these first few days of practice.
Well, really, the changes that were really mandated to us have worked out well. The first part with camp and the beginning part of practice, the weather was so nice we could have stayed out here all day, and then finally we're starting to get into the heat of it, and the last couple of days you could certainly tell that with our kids. But just a lot of learning, hopefully, that's going on. Defense is ahead of the offense, and hopefully we can catch up at some point. But so far, so good, and stayed fairly healthy. We've had a few things, but nothing real serious yet.
All right. Before you even start here, you have to have the off season. Talk about your off season. What are some of the camps your players have gone to? Some of those team things. Talk about the off season.
Off season has really been consistent by all of our kids, from our weight room to our speed and agility work. To kids being out for other sports. Really, I think our kids have done as well as any other group since I've been here. As the summer starts, obviously we have baseball here, and we have other kids that, it seemed like at one time we had kids all over the country to different camps. But we did positional workouts here periodically, tried not to overdo it, didn't do as much of 7-on-7 as we had in the past because we thought we could get more out of positional workouts, and certainly liked that format of it. And then we had our central team camp that we went to at the end of July, and then we had a few days off, then got right into our camp, and then another few days off, and then right into practice.
But you also had some off-season workout, too. I seem to see you on television coaching the Shrine team. What was that experience like for you?
Oh, it was a great experience. We had real good kids. I think as a staff, if nothing else, the high school coaches really on the south side, really on the north side as well, did a good job of choosing kids of character. And obviously they were very well thought of football players, and it worked out very well, and it was an awful lot of fun to get a chance to coach Matt Hawk for one more week.
We could talk about all your ex-players having their off seasons, but unfortunately Amara Darbo looks like he's out for you. That's a disappointment because he was really looking to have a breakout year.
He was, and it's really disappointing. I got 2 calls from Michigan yesterday from 2 different coaches, and Mara and I have yet to hook up yet, and I'm sure we will here very soon, but my heart breaks for him. And Joseph Jurek got the news that he tore his ACL down in Missouri S&T, so he's also out for the year. So last couple of days weren't real good to be ex-Maroons.
Let's talk about your team now. A few personnel change here. You graduate a few, but, man, you got one heck of a team coming back.
We feel good about it. Like I mentioned earlier, I think our defense is certainly ahead of our offense right now, and we're trying to get things shored up at different places, and we've had some kids step up and fill potential holes, and then we've had some veterans come back in their spots and maybe move them around a place or two. So we like our kids. We've got a good group of kids. They've worked hard. We just have to come out here every day and try to get better.
All right, on the defensive side, who's what holes are you trying to fill, and who do you think? Let's talk some names here. Who has had a good camp so far?
Well, I think 2 that really come to mind are John Swisher, who played quite a bit a year ago, and then we had a young man move in from Iowa City named Max Morris, who's been a very welcome addition. And then Jake Luton and Joey Miller are kind of the brains of the organization, and they do a good job of communicating and leading that defense. I think Luke DeVinny has been very solid. We're having a couple of good battles in there at an outside linebacker spot to see if we can shore up that. So we feel very good about it. Rico Gafford transfer last year coming in to join our team, and he's a very talented young man. So, we feel pretty good about the guys that have come back, maybe some of the younger ones that are coming up, and then a couple of additions as well.
And you also have some that are returning from injuries up front and at your quarterback.
Ryan Boyle and Jake Kirvin, those were, obviously big losses for us a year ago. Everybody talked about Boyle first, but really the first one to go down was Jake Kirvin, and that was a big blow, and people just don't recognize it because he doesn't have the ball in his hands all the time. But, as important as Ryan is to us, Jake is very similar to us on the offensive line. So certainly they're welcome back, and then we've got some other guys in the backfield, and Nate Christian and also Chase Dowell that have carried the ball quite a bit for us. So there's some experience there as well.
Are there weaknesses on your team?
Well, there are plenty of them, and I think the expectations are high, and that comes with the territory at Dowling, and we do have quite a few guys coming back. But we're far from being a finished product, and we have what I see as weaknesses right now, and I think our kids would tell you the same thing, and we just have to continue to try to get better.
You knew in 2010 you had a good team. How do you feel right now about this team?
Not the same right now, to be honest with you. It was a different team, and we were loaded in skill positions through and through at that point. I don't know that we're loaded in skill positions. We've got some awfully good kids, and probably had more experience at the offensive line during that time. So it feels a little bit different. I think the leadership of that group and the hunger in that group is much more than any group that I've ever seen, and I think this group needs to get that.
And that team also had success in other sports. I think they came off of baseball and had like 6 hours before they would report to camp for you. You have those multi-sport athletes. We talk about them. How important is that off season? Not necessarily just your practice, but the other activity involvement that your players have.
Oh, it's tremendous, and it goes hand in hand, and it's something that we encourage our kids to do. We've got a lot of kids that play football that are also baseball players. There's some that are basketball players, some that are wrestlers. A lot of them run track and a variety of other things. So I think it's good for the competition. I think it's good for our kids. We get our work done, and we've got very few one-sport kids, and I think that's what makes Dowling a little bit different than some other 4A schools.
Maroons on Maroons right now. You change colors with a scrimmage here in a couple of days, but how soon before you turn the page and start looking at Southeast Polk?
Well, it's kind of been turned a little bit to that. The scrimmage is a little bit of a warm-up for us. I really like the fact that we're going against Johnston. I've known Coach Woodley for a long time. We've talked this through and talked it over, and obviously we hold our breath not to get anyone hurt on either side. And we're just going to try and make each team better that day, and gives us a chance to tackle some people live and go against some different bodies to see if it can't make us better. And I think it's going to be good for both teams, and Lord willing, we stay healthy.
You always have a tough preseason. What's it look like here in those first few games? Because as soon as you get done with Southeast Polk, you got to face Valley, You've heard that all before. How do your guys, do you have to grab their attention to get them to focus, knowing it's just one game at a time, but those are big games?
Oh, you do periodically, but really that's where experience helps. The seniors were through it a year ago, and they know, the things that were happening. We were kind of cruising along there through the first couple of weeks, and then, hit a bump in the road, and then Kirvin goes down, and then a couple of weeks later, Boyle goes down, and everything's different. And so, I think you've got to take advantage of your time that you have and realize that, this is a special time for them, and they need to take it one at a time. And, really it starts with practice and how we prepare. And if we can prepare well, a lot of things will take care of itself. And so this team needs to show that they can do that. And you mentioned 2010, really for the most part, that's what they did, is they prepared. And we're ready each and every week, and we have to see if this team can do that.
You're going to be ready for all those number one and target on our back, and you got all those cliches worked out for the first couple of weeks?
We have not talked about rankings really whatsoever. We don't talk about it a lot. We're at Dowling Catholic, and the target's always on our back. It's just like, people want to talk to me about home field and having our own stadium. Well, we don't. We're used to that. And so, we haven't been number one every year, but, we have been some, and certainly respect that, and there's nothing we can do about it. We just still have to go out and play the game.
Talk about player changes. Any coaching changes this year?
Really, we're back intact, and Brian Blazik is an alum that's around a little bit more this year that's helping with our kickers. But really, everybody is back, and that has helped with the flow of practice and things like that. We've had some changes a little bit at the lower level, but really the people that have been around and been the core people throughout the course of my time here are still here.
All right, that's head coach Tom Wilson of the Dowling Catholic Maroons. This is Paul Yeager on DowlingWebcasting.com. We will not have that opening game, but we will be there for you, Valley and Dowling, coming up in September.